Yeah.
And how'd you like the comeback tonight?
It was great. I mean, it's too bad we couldn't have scored in overtime. We got the, a shootout goal, but it's entertaining for the fans.
Was a lot of this just taking more shots and very aggressive in the defensive zone?
You mean tonight, as far
Yeah.
as shooting goes? I think we shot a lot of pucks. We had 15 after one, I think, but I think we had a couple pipes too. I know Leo hit a crossbar, and I think Vax hit a crossbar, but we had good energy. We were jumping. They had a back-to-back, so got a little bit of an advantage going into the game. We had plenty of chances. We had a lot of chances to score goals.
Off of that, yeah, was this about as consistently dangerous as you guys have been offensively?
Yeah.
And an example of what's possible?
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you, Eric. Like, these are games, definitely they're games, so you can evaluate your personnel. And St. Louis probably maybe hung over about getting bounced out of the playoffs. Not mathematically, but just kind of logically last time. I mean, they played hard, but I watched that from the bench. I had the same thoughts. Like, we have some really talented players, and Leo's obviously very talented. I thought Z was very good offensively, and there were four lines. I thought for the most game we were able to play four lines and have consistent pressure. So for me, I was thinking, okay, so now what happens when we play LA? Because they're still fighting and clawing for positioning. I think it's going to be a different atmosphere to make those evaluations that you just spoke of.
Seemed like Z really had it going tonight. Do you feel like he's been kind of building back into his game since he's been back? And what do you think was working for him out there tonight?
Well, he got the puck back a lot, and usually when he does that, he's skating. He's obviously really talented, and he's got a super high IQ. I think he could have had a couple goals too, but he's a very unique player because he sees the ice so well. I mean, he had that back to a pass to Strome. I think it was in the first period. I don't know if Strome was ready for it, but somebody made a comment to me, I forget who it was, that he reminds me a little bit of Magic Johnson. His teammates sometimes get hit in the head with a basketball because they're not ready for the pass, right? So I think he has a little bit of that to his game.
And nice was it to see Alex Killorn get his 500th point and provide a veteran leadership.
Yeah, he played good. He plays hard. I mean, he fumbled some pucks, but he works hard to get them back. He knows how to win, so I think he makes good decisions. He's not afraid when the game's getting a little bit tight. That's the other thing that we've got to do as a group. Like, at the end there, we get tight, like, he's one of those guys that he's so used to these. I mean, think about Stanley Cup games, Game 7s. He's kind of used to it. So he gives us that type of presence in those tight situations.
What do you think of the Vakanainen and Lindstrom pairing tonight? And they were on for 2 goals. I don't think they were on for any against. They seemed pretty steady out there. Just wanted to get your feel on how they combined. I think this is the first time they skated together, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't remember exactly what they did, but Gustav had that. He shot the puck where Nestorenko scored it. I think he had jumped into another play offensively, and then Vax hit the pipe there. And it's good to see them get up. But we're trying to get our D more involved offensively by coming down the walls, just to keep some pucks alive. And it's all going to be predicated on our third forward replacing them when they come down, right? So try to get them to buy into that, which they've done. And then sometimes like a Zellweger is probably going to make a little bit more of an offensive play than those two guys, but they can keep the puck alive. It's going to help us offensively.
Bro, I know he hasn't been available in the last little bit, but just how much are you finding out about Lucas and him handling at least the starter's workload and all that comes with it right now?
Well, tonight, because tonight would have been that game. I think it was his 3rd game in a row, right, where he starts to get a little bit of that starter's fatigue on him. I would think he would be the first one to tell you that he wasn't sharp tonight, but he found a way to make the saves he had to make late in the game, right? That's what good goalies do. That's what goalies, like, I don't care how old you are, goalies that are competitive and they know what their game is at that moment, they make the save they have to make, and I thought he did that in the 3rd period.
And to follow up, I mean, this is new territory for him, just in terms of getting the bulk of the action, over this last few weeks or, whatsoever. How much are you just seeing how he deals with that?
Well, I honestly
Yeah.
don't. I mean, David Rook handles the goalies, and the one permanent thing about Rook, Doss is that every time he goes on the ice, he's going on the ice with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to get better. In some ways, and David would tell you this, he sometimes overworks. He's a perfectionist. He's a consummate team guy, and he owns his play too, which I really like. I coach. He reminds me a little bit of Chris Osgood. He's bigger, but I had Osgood in New York, and he had that mentality. Every practice, he wanted to stop every puck. If the puck went in, it would piss him off to the point that if guys were taking those backdoor shots on a 2-on-0, he'd go over there and whack the guy with a stick, right? So Doss doesn't got that. I don't think he's mature enough to do that, but I think in his head he's thinking that. And I really like that about him.
Going back to the Nestorenko goal, felt like he was a little bit more into this game than his first of the season. What did you feel like he adjusted to the way he played tonight that helped him get into it more?
Well, I think Matt and his staff have done a terrific job with him. When he left here in training camp, he had a major identity crisis. He was trying to toe drag people, beat people one-on-one. He turned pucks over. And I think Matt and his staff there have done an unbelievable job getting him to play to an identity, which is put pucks deep, finish his check. He's always on the right side of the check when he hits it. You watch him when he puts a puck in, and that's a part of reliability, particularly in that third line role. When he skates, he's fast. It jumps out at your speed. But to me, the reliability and the fact that he understands his role and he puts it behind people, and then he finishes the check, or he gets a stick in there to disrupt the movement, and then he comes off the check first. He's off the check and back up overloading on the back check quicker than anybody we've got. Him and Frankie, the two guys that do that really good. And I was really happy he scored a goal tonight. It was just kind of a typical third line goal. The puck got bounced around, went up to the top, and then he backed, I think it was Parenko, he backed him into the net, and he got the rebound. So good for him.
Talked earlier in the year about Frankie's energy and what that brings to the group. Is this a night that's kind of tailor-made for a guy like him? You guys are facing 3 deficits, but doing a lot of things well, and obviously he had a big contribution. Is this kind of an example of the way that emotion, that energy can pull other guys along?
Yeah, and then think about it, Frankie, it's the same guy I saw when I took the job in the summer and I was watching tape. He's like one of the few guys that every shift he's going back as hard as he can. And I think if he's around the right people that can actually take pride in that, it's a major, reflection of what you need to do to win, and if somebody's asked me who's the most reliable player on the team, forget about points. I know Frankie's probably our leading scorer. It's Frankie. Does everything hard. He blocks shots. He kills penalties on the power play. He back checks harder than anybody that we have on our team, and he gets rewarded for it because he gets goals. And we all know he could probably have 40 goals. He was on that road trip. He missed open nets, but he deserves it, and he's found a home here, and he's for me and for the coaching staff, he's been a blessing.
2 goals for Leo tonight, and then 1 on Friday. You called him the far and beyond the best player on Friday, and what did you think of the way he took over tonight?
I thought tonight, the first 2 periods, he was okay. And then the third period, he just took off. He hit the crossbar, too. I didn't have to say anything to him. He just had a slow start. I said after the first period, just wasn't doing much, right? And then his game picked up again. It's another sign of maturity and having confidence in his ability. So obviously he's a heck of a player. And you see it, you guys see it when you watch it. When he gets the puck, he's going to score a goal, whether it's coming off of his stick or somebody else scores the goal. He's just got that mentality, and when he's on his game, you see that. The first 2 periods, it was just okay. The third period is I'm taking the game over, and he did.
Okay. Thanks,